Roxy, Very Berry, Leaf, and Twig are back for more adventures in the decrepit backyard of the struggling rock band. This time, however, not just bunny rabbits are in the way. They also have to deal with bees, Very Berry's ex-lovers constantly trying to eat them, and a whole lot of flooding. Still, at the end of the day, they'll know that they can always travel off into the sunset together and that they will always have each other. These are the Mighty Ones in the Mighty Ones Season 2. So, yeah, finally got around to watching this. I debuted earlier this month. It's a 10-episode second season. Very unique in this sense. I remember the first season, a lot of the plots were very Roxy-centric, like she had to be the center point of everything. And in this one, I think that it was a lot more balanced. A lot more of the plots were more evenly dispersed. There were, I mean, of the 10 episodes, I think Roxy only gets about 2 or 3. Very Berry got like 4, and Twig also got about that same amount. I mean, remember this is 10 episodes, but each episode is 2 segments. So yeah, like Twig got a lot of segments dedicated to him. Very Berry got a lot of segments dedicated to her. Leaf got a couple of segments. But the only problem I say is that the characterization was off on some of them. Like I said before, one of the things is, like, in one episode, Leaf is the very tranquil, hippie, meditation, peacenik type guy. And then literally in the next episode, he's the bro-douchey gym rat who's more concerned with getting a six-pack than properly hydrating himself. There's a little bit of that. There's Twig, who wants to plan everything out and be very organized and often tries to keep the others in check, but then at other points he's so stupid that, he willingly infects himself with a woodworm, or he allows himself to become the guardian of a group of vampire fleas. It's like, okay, so you're getting a little spotty here. About the only one who I think has the straightforward character arc, and well, not arc might not be the straightforward characterization in all of this, would be Very Berry, and she's she's stubborn, she likes to be spontaneous, she doesn't like to plan things out, and this often kind of leads her into trouble. There's an episode where she's always wanted to be a bee, so she tries to go undercover into a beehive and live amongst the bees, and it seems to work. Of course she gets found out. And then there's another one where she's been causing so much of a ruckus that she gets sentenced to have to serve in a militaristic army ant corps, basically. And in this, she kind of winds up losing part of her identity. Yeah, but the way they get to her, and the way they get her to follow the code of the army ants is they basically challenge her to carry more than they can carry, and so it becomes more of that aspect to it. And like I said before, yes, she has love interests in this. A crow, and it's also implied that she had a brief fling with a squirrel, both of whom just wanted to eat her, apparently. There's kind of this weird, again, kind of a weird thing there. Also, we finally learned who the bandmates are. Like, I don't think they ever called themselves by their names in the first season at all. At least I do not remember. But yes, the 3 band members are Bats, who wears bat ears, and then there's Kensington, who's actually from California but talks with a British accent, and last but not least is Samosa. And so we actually got more into with them. The animation is still very good in all of this. It's very fun. I think a lot of the stuff is very slice of life, but still very humorous. There's definitely a bit more of an adventure aspect in this, particularly like Roxy's episodes. Roxy has an episode where she actually gets catapulted into the house by accident. So they're trying to trying to find a way into the house, because at the time Kensington is listening to this podcast about ghost hauntings, and it's setting her off guard, and she's trying to prepare for that. And so every time the Mighty Ones are trying to get in, their entrance view is basically blocked, and they have to try to find another way. And then from that, there's also Roxy dealing with the fact that her 3 plant friends are going to eventually grow up and change in some way, and she is going to always just be a pebble. And there's kind of that was also kind of a unique thing, and taking the aspect of though she was going to try to forge her own path in life. And then there was one more with Roxy. I'm trying to think what it was now. And so there's kind of, like I said, there's some very unique aspects in that. Like, they do some good expansion on the characters. There's definitely some expansion with the supporting characters. Again, Mr. Ladybug comes back, Mr. Bunny Rabbit comes back, but he's not as malicious as he was in the first season. And they also meet some weird doppelganger character types. Like I said, there's a lot of episodes where the yard gets flooded. The yard gets flooded with paint at one point, and Roxy gets some on her, and she thinks that this is such a cool thing because it makes her look cool. But in reality, you know, the paint's deadly to the yard, so it's not a good thing. And then, you know, there's another point where a water spigot gets left on, and the yard floods again, and they're trying to find the one dry patch of land in the yard. And then there's another point where it snows, and so they discover ice, and dealing with the idea of reflections possibly being evil twins. That's a plot line in this. So yeah, again, there's some really kind of fun aspects they play with there. And all of that leads to the finale, which I won't get into too much here. I'm going to wait until after the break, and we'll have a spoiler section for the finale bit there. But yeah, it leads me with the idea that, yeah, this was probably the last season. At least the way they ended it, I don't know how they could really bring them back. You know, but overall, I think, again, this was a very solid show. It's on Hulu. I believe it's on Peacock now. For a long time it was, and then it wasn't, and now it seems to be again, or at least season 2 is. So you can watch it on Peacock, or you can watch it on Hulu. Like I said, it's a really good, solid show. If you like shows like, I'd say, Rocko's Modern Life, or not Adventure Time, regular show, that's what I always said. Regular show, or Gumball, I think you'd really like this. It's a lot of that kind of same wacky characterization throughout it all, but you see how the society works in the yard, and so it has a very grounded believability to it, even though it's about, you know, a sentient pebble. So again, like, there's a lot of fun bits to it. So yeah, a very solid show, very enjoyable. Again, I'm going to give Mighty One Season 2 a B. Just like I said, very solid, very enjoyable. It does lead to a weird ending that I'll get to in the spoiler section there, but like I said, it'll be very brief. I'll just go into that the ending of that one episode. But yeah, we'll get into it. But yeah, like I said, overall a B.
Mighty Max, Mighty Max.
Hey, watch where you're stepping, mister.
Magus to you, Max.
Magus, you're humongous.
Now look inside.
Lava Lord.
Watch these missiles fire.
Awesome.
And for you, Max, the claw. They'll never outrun the lava blaster.
Norman, Virgil, run.
To the dungeon, Max, and take your chicken with you.
Will Mighty Max escape the evil mega robot Magus?
It's a mighty big problem.
Mighty Max Magus comes with everything you see here, including the Mighty Max players from Mattel.
Okay, so again, this little part here is going to be a brief spoiler section. I'll give a little sign for when it's done. So yes, spoiler section here. This is strictly for the final segment of the season finale to the Mighty Ones, and how it's possibly a series finale. Okay, so yeah, the second part of episode 10 is basically dealing with a venomous bush viper that has somehow made its way into the yard. It is eating a bunch of the squirrels in the yard, and somehow in the middle of all of this, Roxy, who is in fact deathly afraid of snakes, gets swallowed, and she gets accidentally shot in by Very Very via a rubber band cannon. And, you know, the others wind up going in after her. However, she's decided that she's so afraid of the snake, she can't even dare to be outside with the snake. You know, being inside the snake is much better. So she's settled down and made a little home for herself in there. And so the others are like, well, you know what, this isn't too bad. It looks pretty fun. And, you know, they start hanging out there. They say, yeah, we could just stay in here the whole time. And then after that, it turns out that, you know, the problem is they keep getting digested. So yeah, they start to be digested. They realize, oh, we can't stay in here. We got to get out of here. But Roxy doesn't want to get out, and it finally kind of falls to Very Berry to cajole her. And it doesn't quite clue in until Berry starts getting digested to the point that she's almost fully absorbed into the snake. All that's left of her is her head. Her body regenerates, so it's kind of established in the show that happens. And from there, they make their way out, only to discover that somehow Kensington's reticulated python has swallowed this venomous bush viper, and now they are in a completely different snake, where they have to avoid being digested. But where they're kind of headquartered, they can see out through the snake's eyes, and they realize it's kind of nice. As the snake goes through the yard, they see all their friends waving goodbye to all of them, and like I said, they're waving goodbye to all of them, and they just kind of go off into the sunset. So, yeah, I don't know how they're coming back from this. I mean, they were eaten. They were literally eaten in the final episode. Whether or not they die necessarily, I don't know. But, again, they seem to, the snake just kind of goes off to live its life, and they're not in the yard anymore. So I don't really see them coming back for a season 3, unfortunately. Which is too bad, because again, I do think the show was pretty good. And it was, overall very fun. But yeah, this was probably a definitive endpoint. I don't know if because DreamWorks got bought by Universal, who now owns Peacock, if they didn't want to do anything with Hulu anymore. But I don't know, maybe. Okay, so spoilers over at this point. Alright, so the next video is probably going to be the recap and review for Jungle Cruise. Hopefully I can still see that in the theater. Obviously things are changing again. Like I said, hopefully I'll be able to at least see that in the theater one more time. Or, well, you get the idea. After that, it's going to be the random trade review on Archie Love Showdown. And then I think the next review is probably going to be it's the Suicide Squad. So see you all next time. Hey guys, remember, you can help support my channel at patreon.com/SleepyTimeForCat Productions, where you can help request a movie, even if it's something like, say, Sonic the Hedgehog or the next Purge film. I'll review it.